Welcome to DZR's. I'm going to stop that. That sucks. Hey, hold on 1 second. We've got a hum going on.
Oh yeah, that's my air conditioner outside. It's quite the loud thing.
Wow.
Can you talk,
Yeah, I can
Origami?
talk. Can you hear me okay?
I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I'm just trying to think if I can edit this.
Yeah, that's the
You're just going to have to sweat it out.
air conditioner kicking in, but it's outside. Let me see how much room I've got on my cord.
That expensive mic did you in, didn't it?
It just picks up everything. All right, is it better there?
It is much better. That'll be great. Now he's in the bathroom on the pot.
Well, there's no reverb.
Exactly. I just got to speak into the bowl.
Hey,
I think we lost
I
Hoagie.
think we lost Hoagie too. This is where we put the elevator music in.
That's right. Please hold on after this intermission.
But my audio quality is great, damn it.
That's right. You know, this pause is brought to you from Sam Adams Oktoberfest. First time seen it in the store this year.
Nice. I'm behind on my drinking.
I'm trying to catch up. This is my second. It's been one of those days. It's been one of those weeks.
Yep.
God, I hope Hoagie doesn't put that in here.
yeah, that's definitely getting edited out.
Aw, come on now.
Okay, where were we?
I have no idea.
Me either.
Welcome to DZR's The Armory. We're going to take an in-depth look into the division, the gear, guns, strategies you need to take back New York. Hey, I'm your host, Hoagie. Really excited for this week. We have a lot of awesome content for you guys. We've been enjoying it so far. Liked hearing your comments back from the community. Got a couple emails talking about the show or asking questions. We're really excited. Keep sending those emails. And we're really excited about what we have tonight. We have two of the guys from the first couple weeks. What's up, Origami? How are you?
I'm doing good. Getting ready for another good episode.
Yeah, man. Hey, and Captain's back with us. How are you, Captain?
I'm doing good. Just happy to be here, guys.
Hey, and a nice new mic for this week.
That's right.
It's much better.
We're getting better. We've been recording these in batches, and so we did the first two shows. But the first show had all sorts of issues, crackling and all sorts of things. Ended up having to piece a bunch of tracks together. And so that's why if it feels like it was done by a robot, it was. But hopefully we got all that stuff worked out. And we're excited to give you guys some awesome content. Hey, we're going to continue on doing gear sets. And this week we're going to be talking about the Lone Star set. Now the Lone Star set is everyone's bane of their existence, because if you've been running HVTs, that's all you've been getting. So all these people have all these Lone Star set pieces, and they don't know what to do with them. But for us here at DZR, we see potential in those Lone Star sets, and so we want to take this episode to talk to you about the Lone Star set. And so all those crap pieces that you're just kind of keeping around or not really using, we think there's a good build in there that could be really helpful for you. And so we're titling this episode
The Everyman's Build. I think that's a good title for it.
The Everyman's Build, because everybody's got some Lone Star. So hey, Origami, you're going to be talking and sharing with us a lot of info about Lone Star. Why don't you kick us off? Tell us a little bit of the basic info about Lone Star. What does it do? What are its attributes and bonuses? And where can we get it?
Sure. And as you said, the Lone Star is something that everybody gets, and we really want to do something here that everybody can work with. And the Lone Star really fits well for that, because each of the bonuses at the various levels of the Lone Star set have some value, unlike some of the other sets like the Nomad, where it feels like there's not any use for some of those pieces. The Lone Star can be really useful in multiple variants. So the two-piece bonus is 100% ammo capacity. Everyone knows this. Everyone keeps a couple pieces of Lone Star in just to switch out for the ammo restock, and then they go back to whatever they were using. So that's a pretty common use piece. The three-piece bonus, you get 1,000 extra damage points for the LMG and for shotgun. And then the 4-piece bonus, you have an instant reload on your mag whenever you holster your weapon. So the benefit of that becomes that if you're running 2 weapons, even 2 of the same type of weapon, instead of having to wait that 2 or 3 seconds for a reload, you can just instantly switch from one weapon to the other and have a full mag and keep firing away. So it's really good for getting additional damage downrange.
I thought it was really funny that before this set came out, it was kind of a much anticipated set because of sustained DPS. And then as soon as it came out, everyone was just dogging the set. Mm-hmm. And so it's really interesting how things change as we're getting to use them.
Well, and there's an assumption out there that the instant reload, the way that the wording is, it sort of makes it sound like you're going to get unlimited ammo by switching back and forth, and that's really not the case. It's not quite how it works, and I think there was some disappointment around that. But even with that reality, it's still it's a very nice bonus to have, and we're seeing several different variants on how that can be used to people's advantage.
So where can we get it besides our own inventories all the time?
Yeah, you can get it from your own inventory, you can get it from your friend's inventory, you can get it at the corner store. It's really an HVT drop, first and foremost. I will tell you that we see it drop everywhere. Underground, supply drops, DZ, some of the missions, but HVTs are your most reliable place to get it for sure.
And even it comes in your special supply drops twice a month.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
I got a couple of them this month.
I'd want to punch somebody in the head if I got that in my supply drop.
You know, once you use it a few times and you get a good build around it, it's really not so bad. It's a good set. It's a good solid set.
Okay, break it down for me. What am I looking for in these pieces?
The really cool thing about the Lone Star set is you can build it multiple different ways and still have it do something really exciting. With a Sentry build, with a Deadeye build, with a Tactician build, you really have a specific method that you have to follow to make it worthwhile. You really have to follow the DPS on your Sentry to be truly effective. You really need to follow some stamina on your Tactician to make that tank up. The Lone Star is cool because you can build it as a glass cannon, or you can build it as a tanky skill build, or you can build it just as a straight tank build for support without the skill power. And each of those has some real benefit, and we're seeing people use them in each of those ways and use them very successfully. But as a general rule, you're going to want to look at rolling armor in the usual places, your chest piece, your holster. Your mask, you're going to want to run skill power most likely. But if you're looking for that tankier build, then you might want to run EDR and get some of that exotic damage resilience on your chest piece, on your mask. Your pack should be focused on ammo capacity or skill power, whichever direction you want to go with it. If you really want that skill build, run the skill power. Otherwise, the ammo is really helpful to have. Even with that Lone Star 2-piece bonus, the more ammo that you have, the less you're jumping back into checkpoint to restock, and the more time you get to spend out there really having fun. On the gloves. The gloves are kind of, if you can get lucky with the gloves, you'll run a critical hit damage roll on them. You can get 35% or so is nice. A really nice roll. And then because you get to have 2 different weapon rolls potentially on it, if you can get a good roll, run an LMG damage bonus, run a shotgun bonus, and take advantage of that 3-piece bonus to kick those 2 up even higher. And if you can get a good roll on those, and you're really in business for this build.
And also, if you rolled LMG or shotgun damage on your gloves, that'd be a great thing too. If you're using those weapons,
and whether you're using that as a 3-piece or a 4-piece, either way, you're getting that bonus. And so the more that you can kind of kick that up, the better.
I was going to say, one of the interesting things is, even as we look back at the bonuses, we're talking about the different attributes, and what we're hearing and talking and saying is that we can make this set do whatever we want. Obviously, it has those major focuses on LMG and shotgun damage.
Right.
The interesting thing was with the 4 set piece bonus, having constant DPS is quite interesting when we're thinking about a cover-based shooter, because there's natural pauses in the gameplay, and even with how aggro is working, or threat as they call it in the division, it naturally causes the shooting to go to different members of the party, and so it's really interesting to see how can we actually get this build performing really well. Wouldn't it almost have to be a more tanky build, because if we're doing constant DPS, we're going to get being shot at more. Captain, do you have something to add on that?
I would say no, not necessarily, because you can make it however you want to. If you want to run a smart cover, then you can go a little high on the tech side. What do they call it? The low tech, where you've got
Yeah.
the two-piece tacticians with it, and roll almost everything to your electronics with some gear mods, and have a decent smart cover. That way, you've got your pulse, you've got your smart cover, and you got the good damage that you've got from constantly using your shotgun or your LMG from swapping back and forth. I mean, it pretty much keeps full uptime. Plus, you've got the extra bonus damage and resistance from the smart cover and the pulse.
Yeah, I agree. And credit where it's due. The low-tech build, one of our DZR members, Vandalex Gaming, went on a similar path to what we're discussing here tonight about the Lone Star build. And the low-tech is one that he developed, and there's a fantastic video about how it works and why it works, and I certainly recommend it. And I talked to him briefly about that set and why he did it. And his comment was that because this is a set piece that comes everywhere, that everybody's got it, and because it's something that can feel like it limits you, he wanted to do what we've been doing, and really demonstrate that you could do okay with it. And he's right with that skill power build. It works really well for managing smart cover, managing some squad support. And the real nice thing about it is, if you get a crap build on it, do some more HVTs and you're going to get more pieces. It's an easy thing to try different stuff with in that regard.
And it's easy to get high 268 gear out of it too, because like you said, HVTs are dropping it all the time. Within a couple weeks, you could have a full build of 268s. And let's not joke around. 268 gear pieces are good. They're strong. I actually had a few weeks ago, I was running basically a build that was all over the place. It had multiple different pieces, and I had a Lone Star. I had 3-piece Lone Star, because I had 268 of each of those, and they were just outperforming my other pieces in toughness in a big way. And so it was really easy to get those pieces and plug them in and start, not just moving up my gear score, because we know gear score as of right now doesn't matter that much. Hopefully after 1.4 it might, but it was really helping my toughness and helping that survivability.
Yes, absolutely.
I do have one thing that I have to admit about Lone Star. It has fueled many of my recalibrations.
Yes.
Because I just swore I wouldn't use it, but Origami and Scribbles have brought me around so that I see the value in it. So now I'm trying to put a good set together, and I cannot find those last two pieces.
Here's something interesting. Before 1.3 came out and the weapon rebalancing that we've talked about, people were using shotguns some, but not really LMGs, because they didn't have native talents on either of them. Now that LMGs have the damage out of cover and shotguns have the stagger bonus, how does that change the viability of this build and even using those guns in
I think
gameplay?
it's a big change. Before 1.3, I would use an LMG and a shotgun, but only on Falcon Lost and only in the pit if I was posting up on the column on the left side of the pit, because I could blind fire and do suppressive fire, but I wasn't doing any real damage. Now that we have stagger, now that we have some really good LMGs to work with, the L86 is certainly far and away the best LMG out there for damage. Now that we have the tactical SASG, um, you can get some serious DPS out of that on both of them. My SASG right now, I took a look at my DPS today, and I'm running 250k DPS on that shotgun, and it's got that's
That's
no
no
joke.
joke.
And you add on the stagger bonus, and you add on, some of the talents like, deadly or brutal, even swift for the reload, or responsive destructive for some of that short range armor destruction and short range damage. Um, that's that's a force to be reckoned with, and it's why it became such a popular weapon with the sentry build as well, is because you can do some serious close range damage with it. And with this set, you get some additional bonuses that you don't get with some of the other sets, and so it really is a powerful set of weapons to have. I actually ran with a double barrel shotgun yesterday for a little while, just to sort of screw around in the DZ, and it certainly is not the most accurate thing, but it was fun having that instant reload uh, and be able to switch from holster to holster. So yeah, it opens things up.
I didn't hear you mention the
I
showstopper
haven't gotten one
origami.
yet, actually. We have
Oh,
a handful of people who have found them, and I think the rush to get the showstopper has sort of died off. But yeah, the showstopper is a solid weapon with this too. Um, I have my own issues with named weapons right now, but I think that's going to be changing hopefully with 1.4. So
don't we all?
yeah, I have a Midas that I love, but that's about it right now.
You don't hear that much.
Gosh, so funny. My main weapon right now is actually the RPK
Yeah,
74, and so I enjoy that three
yeah.
piece bonus for the LMG
I really
damage.
like that one because the added mag capacity on that, even though the damage is a little bit less than the
Exactly.
L86, it really does give you some nice bonus on using that. Having that extra mag size is useful without being a big bag mag where you trade off some of that accuracy.
And remember, as you fire it, it gets more accurate. And so,
Yep.
as long as you're, my stable, my RPK has stability on it, and so it is a laser after 5 or 6 shots. I'm just empty mags into guys, and so I like the big mags. That's one of the reasons I always ran with the AUG instead of
Yeah, same.
the Vector. Also, okay, great. We've talked about some things about roles, and basically what we've said is, hey, whatever you want to do, you can use this build and use these gear set pieces to make a good build. Now, it is going to cost money at the
It is.
recal table because you're going to have to roll things to get that right, but that's okay because we can just run missions and get plenty, running the underground and selling our weapons instead of dismantling them is a big help too.
Yes, indeed.
A little tip there. Carpe Adams mentioned that you can craft if you got plenty of crafting materials from breaking things down, because there's a lot of drops. You can craft the Damascus and sell it for
Yep.
like 40K each. So that may be a way to increase some money, some funds for recalibration real quick.
Fantastic tip. I've done that with the Tenebrae because you can get a 182.
Oh
It
yeah.
doesn't cost you too much to put it together, and then you can get 40 or 50,000 credits for it. That's a great tip.
Yep.
That's a pro tip right
It
there.
is.
If I was a better editor, I'd put some awesome thunder music in the background or something. Pro tip.
I'll have the dog breathe in the background.
Yes, he's the fourth member of
That's right.
our podcast. We love all animals.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we've been talking about this set and the different gear set bonuses, but truth be told, a lot of us aren't running the 4 piece, and so that means that we have some other gear slots to fill with other pieces. So, what other kind of things could we run with this set? It feels very much like a very easy set to partner with other sets to make a really cool hybrid set that we can use.
It is. There are a lot of sets that you either need the 2 piece or the 4 piece, and the 3 piece is really not beneficial. But on this set, the 3 piece is really quite useful. And truth be told, the 2 set's useful, and of course the 4 set is useful. So there are a lot of different ways you can use this set not only as the primary, which is what we're discussing today, but also as a kind of a filler for your other pieces. So, the most popular things that I'm hearing people run with, if you're running 3-piece Lone Star, then a 3-piece Firecrest is really nice because it gives you the extra reload speed, 100% reload speed, and that can really make up for the loss of the 4-piece bonus of the instant holstering reload. And for some people, that's actually a bonus because, take me for example, I don't think about switching off my weapons. I get a little ADD in the dark zone.
Yeah.
And so for me, it actually is a benefit to run a 3 and 3 because then I'm still getting the damage bonus, but I don't have to remember to switch my weapons off because by the time I remember to switch it off, I'm already reloaded. And so that's a really useful pairing, I think. Other folks are using 2-piece Alpha Bridge for the med kits. Still others will use the 2-piece Tactician, like the low-tech build we discussed. That one's a really useful one because you get the 4,000 extra skill power points. I have a theory, we haven't tested it yet, but I have a theory that this is where the Nomad is going to shine, is with the Lone Star Nomad 3-piece combo, because you have the damage dealing out of the Lone Star pieces, and then that Nomad will give you the 20% health on kill. And if there's ever a place where the Nomad is not a complete waste of time, it's that 20% health on kill. And so it's in my bag ready to start testing with. We haven't gotten to it yet, but I'm convinced of the theory. I think it's a good theory.
I think it's a sound theory. I will add one thing though. You've got the 3-piece Alpha Bridge, which I love for that double health regen, and that or Nomad. They may play well together with the Lone Star. I don't think they play well together. 3 Alpha Bridge, 3 Nomad, but maybe with the Lone Star, I think that'll help.
Yeah, and so that's definitely a future test for us. And then you can mix it with all sorts of other things. But one of the other ones that's really been popular is to mix it with a striker, because the striker, the 3-piece bonus, gets you the 20% crit hit damage bonus. But even if you put it as with a 2-piece, you're getting the 10% armor damage bonus. So you've got some flexibility with the striker set that you don't have with some of the other sets in terms of switching between a 4-2 and a 3-3.
Pretzel Poncho, who many of us remember from the original DZR podcast, actually had a health on kill build early in game, and I think he was up to, somewhere in the 37 to 45% range, or more, and it was crazy. I mean, he rolled things and recalibrated them all over the place, but that's a really interesting build. I mean, we talk so much about toughness, but in reality, it's not toughness, it's survivability. Right. And so this is another way we can kind of jerry-rig our toughness or survivability in a different manner that can just help us live longer and deal out more damage.
You just got to remember, though, that only counts if you were the last hit to kill that. So if you're all focused in fire, then you've got a slight chance that it's not going to pop for you.
I've also heard it works on animals in the environment.
It does.
That's amazing. You've actually done that before, Captain?
I have. You shoot the little rats for a bird, and all of a sudden it pops up. Yeah, it's amazing.
Now the next set is the Rat King set, and it's just going to produce rats for your team to shoot for health on kill.
Animal.
Well, we've been talking a lot about just how we can use this set and manipulate it to do whatever we want really in this game. So what kind of play styles really are viable? Because this is not a sniper build, because that doesn't make any sense, because the damage is with LMGs and shotguns. So what really kind of play types can we use with this set? And obviously walk us through PvP and PvE.
The short answer is any other play type you can pretty much put together with this set, and that's the beauty of it. If you take a player like Scribbles, who we've mentioned in previous podcasts, he runs this as a glass cannon, strict PvP build. His toughness is horrible. He's in the high 100,000 range, maybe 160. but he is putting down other players with one or two shots. He's hitting them in the same manner that the dreaded Sentry shotgun build is out there, and that's been really useful because more recently, people like Captain and I and Scribbles and several others have been trying to get into the DZ more, do more PvP, clear out some of the griefers, and make it a better experience for our community members and other people who happen to be in the server. And when we throw that build on, it really just wrecks, and it's fun to watch because you can get this sense of vindication out of that build. The downside is that in order for that to work, you have to have very high skill power. He's maxing out around 50k on the skill power, and putting
Wow.
the rest into firearms. And you also have to have a squad running with you because that toughness on the smart cover,
You're gonna die.
on the smart cover, you're pretty solid, but I think we can all anticipate that smart cover is a topic for discussion with the 1.4 and the elite task force that's out heading to Sweden already. The smart cover is getting a lot of discussion, and I think we can expect that to potentially get nerfed at some point. So you do have to run with a squad. The other way you can run this is as a full-on tank build. And so if you take someone like Bear Turd, who's also very active and one of our most vocal members, for better or for worse, he runs about 450,000 toughness. He still has a really high DPS. He's hitting for over 200,000 with his SASG. He's hitting slightly less for his, for his L86. He's running over 200,000. He's hitting slightly less with his shotgun. His skill power is really low, but what he's got going for him is 90% exotic damage resilience. And so he can go in there and essentially, even at 450,000 toughness, he can run PvE or PvP and just run circles around people and really not take too much damage because he's getting the buff against explosive rounds, he's getting the buff against fire damage, he's getting some stagger resilience. So, he's running it extremely differently than someone like Scribbles is running it, or someone like Vandal, but he's doing it very successfully, and I think that's really the beauty of this set. So, both of them, you really want to have a squad. I mean, you want to have a squad anyway. Solo play is difficult at best. It is a squad-based tactical game. We've talked about that in our initial episode. So running with a squad is important, but either way, you can build this set to work PvP. You can build it to work PvE. You can build it balanced to work both ways, just with a few small tweaks. It's very, very versatile, and I would say it's probably the most versatile set out there, which is nice, given that it's the most common set out there by far.
I do have one comment though. I mean, whether you're running the high tank with the high toughness, with the armor and the EDR cap, or the low stamina like Scribbles is with the high armor and the maxed out EDR, one of them's got the toughness to compensate for it, and the other one has the high electronics for the smart cover. So it's just two different approaches for the same thing. But the main thing is, I mean, if you're going into that PvP, armor cap and EDR cap.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you're not hitting those two, you're in trouble.
Awesome. One of the interesting things as we're talking about how to use this set is the idea, not necessarily with the set, but the guns that you use with the set. And one of those is the LMG. And we've talked about suppression before, but have you guys used suppression in a valuable way in the game? We know crowd control. There's different things that we can do for crowd control, flashbangs, some of the seeker mines, or the reclaimer set with the different kinds of rounds to set people on fire. Is suppression from LMG something that you guys use or you see viable in squad-based play? Captain, why don't you jump in first, and then we'll go to origami.
I would say yes. I mean, LMGs are great for suppression because of the constant fire rate. And whenever you're doing PvE, for sure, I mean, PvP, it's hit and miss. You're probably only going to have that in PvE. But in PvE, if you're running, say, a mission or an incursion, what have you, I've seen many times where we'll sit there and suppress an enemy, and then somebody with a high DPS will just run around the corner and just shoot them in the head until they die in a couple of shots. I mean, I think it's very important, and the L86 and the rest of them are very good for suppressing because they have that rate of fire, and they also have the ammo capacity to keep it on target.
What about you, origami? What were your thoughts of suppression?
Yeah, I think Captain really nailed it. On PvP, there's not really a good suppressive animation or any kind of effect that you get out of it, and so what you're really getting for the LMG on a PvP is that out of cover damage, because I can sit behind cover and not take the damage and it's fine, and really my issue is going to be when I pop out of it. But on a PvE standpoint, I use it regularly, and I used it before I started testing out Lone Star with the bonus, and I'll continue to use it after. The places that it works well are in incursions, and certainly in story missions. It's a little less effective, I find, in the Dark Zone, just because there's a little more freedom of movement for the NPCs. But definitely Falcon Lost, I use it quite a bit, and as well in Dragon's Nest in the beginning stage of it, when you get on the garbage truck and you're trying to deal damage to all the heavies and the rushers that come out, there are a couple engineers that stay behind and they're on cover, and so I typically will bring out the LMG for that and keep them suppressed, so somebody else, like Captain said, can run up and hit them at close range from the side. Especially in that incursion, the suppression is good for keeping the little radio control cars at bay, because if those engineers are suppressed, they're not setting those out. So there's definitely a good suppressive benefit in PvE, and for that I typically run something with a big bag mag, a Mark 46, an M249, M60, Hungry Hog, one of those kinds of things, so that you can sustain that fire over a longer period of time.
I was just going to say that, is that even as we're about to, we could talk about weapons. We've been talking about the weapons a little bit already, the different shotguns or LMGs that you might want to run with this, but it all depends on your build. If you want to do a suppression build, then you're probably going to go with your M60.
Exactly.
And maybe this is a build that you want to sit in the back. You have high skill power, decent toughness, decent damage, but you're able to shoot heals and use pulse from the back of the pack, so you're not up front, and you're just laying down your 200 rounds with your M60, and that could be a viable build in squad-based play.
Yes,
And this just goes to show, again, that the Lone Star is a very, you can manipulate it however you want. And so, we've talked about this weapons, we've talked about them a lot. L86, RPK are the better damage dealers, higher rate of fire. M60, the Mark II, what is it, 249?
The M249 is really nice. The Para is a really nice variant of
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have these different kinds of LMGs, and then shotguns. It's the usual suspects. The M8, 70, the Sausage. These are the things that we want. Again, it's the same kind of talents also. Stable, responsive, destructive, stable for LMGs. I really love stable. And so, again, it all depends on your build, but there's a lot of different talents and weapon talents that can be helpful for that. And as we're jumping into skills, I feel like we can almost just skip this part because we've talked about it already. Yep. Depending on what you want to run, we all have our favorite skills: smart cover, overdose, booster shot, tactical link, all these different skills. Whichever ones you like, run with those, and those could be helpful in the build that you have. Just make sure that they're complementing your build style. And so if you want to run a suppression, maybe you have Flashbang or Seeker Mind to help that suppression or that crowd control going on. If you want to stand in the back and just shoot heals all over the place, go for overdose or booster shot. There's not just set skills that you can use for this build. And I'm sounding like a broken record, but talents is very similar. One is none. We all like one is none. Triage is great too. Origami, you had talked about steady hands. What is steady hands?
Yeah, so steady hands, this one actually came to our attention from Scribbles. He started running with this, and I had never paid it much thought, but the gist of steady hands is that you reduce your recoil by 25% for 10 seconds when you enter cover. This is certainly beneficial for general cover usage in the first place, but it especially becomes useful in PvP. And it will become useful in other builds as well, because one of the common tactics you'll see in the PvP environment is to put the smart cover up, then get on that smart cover, and then immediately jump off it, because the smart cover bonus stays for a few seconds. Gives you a little more mobility. I'm not a big fan of that tactic myself, but that's a personal preference. A lot of people definitely use that in rogue hunting, and so getting that recoil reduction for 10 full seconds and then jumping back on your smart cover for another boost, that's a really, really helpful thing to have, especially on an LMG.
And it works good too.
Awesome.
Works great.
Awesome. Well, we're almost finished. I want to wrap it up in a couple of minutes. We have a few more questions. One of them is talking about the limitations of the set. And I think I'll just say this about the limitations of the set, is this is an everyman's build. And so, yes, it's going to get outproduced in skill power by Tactician's Authority. Yes, it's going to get out DPS by Sentry. Yes, it's going to get outperformed by different sets if you're doing things. But here's the thing. You can find Lone Star pieces and build a viable set to do whatever you want very easily. I know some people that have run... Marco Style is very famous. He was running 80 Heroic Falcon Lost for Tactician's Authority pieces at 268. That's awful. Nobody wants to do that.
Right.
But you can find it everywhere. And so this isn't one of those builds that's like, if you want the best in this, use Lone Star. That's not really the case. But it's something that you can get a really viable build. You have to work out a little bit, but you can build a good build for yourself out of the pieces you kind of have lying around your inventory.
Yeah, and I would add the other extra bonus of the Lone Star is that it's more predictable in what you're going to get, because if you look at those weekly HVTs, it will say the bonus for this completion of this high-risk HVT is a knee pad item,
correct.
Or it's a backpack item, or it's a chest piece. So you kind of can say, all right, I need a knee pad, but I don't need a backpack. I'm going to skip the backpack HVT for a minute and run this other one that's focusing on the knee pad, where I'm going to have a pretty good chance of getting not only that knee pad, but also getting a boss drop that may help me. And if I run it with a squad and I haven't told all my friends about how great the Lone Star is, I'll probably get a couple extra pieces from them as well. So it really, really, really adds up your inventory quickly.
Yeah. And this might be a great set, too, that new players start using. Because, it's really easy to find. You can get good pieces, and you don't necessarily have to worry about running something tons and tons and tons of times. Now, are there going to be tons of new players coming in the division? I don't know. Maybe down the road. But it's something that can get picked up easily for now. And so if you have a new player, maybe this is a build that they try out to get them good pretty quickly and viable running around in the different incursions and missions that we have.
Yes, I agree.
Hey, Captain and Origami, do you guys have anything else to add before we kind of close this one up?
I would just say one thing. I mean, this is a very versatile set. Public disclaimer, Origami and Scribbles have brought me around. Lone Star is a viable set now. You just have to roll it for how you want to play it. But I have noticed that they roll a lot with protection from elites and enemy armor damage. So if they have those and then they're rolling high, it's very good build. Very good.
Well, thanks, guys. It was another great episode. Really loved hanging out with you guys and talking Lone Star. If you guys want to join the conversation, hit us up on Twitter at Dark Zone Report. You could always go check out darkzone.report.com. We're going to continue to have more content up there about DZR, about the division, about what's going on in our community. Go check us out on the Discord. We'd love to connect with you. We still have a ton of players playing the division, but we also have other games going on. We have a Pokemon Go room in there. There's a Destiny room in there. There's a Rocket League room in there. We're going to be covering other games as we move forward. And so it's a really cool community of like-minded guys and like-minded people that like to play games, and it's just a blast.
And it's a large community too, but
it is.
As Division has had some of its bumps, we still have a very active player base there, and it's been fun to run with a lot of different people on a regular basis.
It's true. I'm just checking the numbers now. We have over 2,800 members in our Discord. Now, they're not all active all the time, but that's the kind of player base that we're talking about. And we're still able to find groups all the time running the division. And I know even as we open up other games, that's going to continue. Mm-hmm. So, hey, if you guys have a question, you can email us at dzrarmory@gmail.com. We'd love to hear some of your questions, your thoughts about the show, any suggestions that you might have, or specific questions on gear sets that might be coming up. Origami Captain, thanks so much for joining me this week.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.